Hi everybody, I'm Marissa Agerton with the University of West Florida. I was in charge of conserving and radiocarbon dating the Emanuel Point I shipwreck that's located here in Pensacola, Florida. This shipwreck is associated with the Don Tristán de Luna Spanish colonization fleet. This fleet settled in Pensacola, Florida from 1559 to 1561. It's the earliest known multi-year European colony in the United States, predating St. Augustine and Jamestown. A wood timber from the shipwreck was selected to be conserved and stabilized before being radiocarbon dated. We've already radiocarbon dated 2 other shipwrecks associated with the fleet, and we're hoping to compare them and understand how well waterlogged wood survives submersion. Since the wood has been submerged for centuries, about 450 years in fact, we're trying to understand if the radiocarbon dating can be accurate or not. We know that the ship sank in 1559, so as long as we get radiocarbon results back that are around that same date range, we'll know that it can be dated accurately. But there's always the chance that there's contaminants in the bay water that have their own carbon-14 isotopes that affect the radiocarbon dating. There's also a problem known as the old wood effect that has to deal with whether or not the sample that was radiocarbon dated came from an interior portion of the tree, which could reflect a much older date, or if it came from an outer portion of the tree, which would give us a date range closer to the 1559 when the ship sank. It also has to do with knowing when the tree was originally cut down to make the ship and how long it took the ship to be made and what all it was used for. So it could be an earlier date range than expected. Before we radiocarbon dated it though, we had to conserve it, and we decided to go with the freeze drying method without any pre-treatment. The reason we decided not to do any pre-treatment was because we didn't want it to affect the radiocarbon tests. So we freeze dried it, took about 3 days, and then we sent a sample off to the beta analytics lab to be radiocarbon dated. Once we got those results back, it showed that there was 3 different date ranges, but one of those date ranges was actually within another one. So the date range that was most probable was from 1426 to 1516, and that one is a little bit earlier than we were expecting, but it's still very close, and there is a little bit of wiggle room with the date range for radiocarbon dating because they use a calibration curve known as Willard Frank Libby's curve of knowns, and that calibration curve is not completely refined, so there is a little bit of discrepancy over how accurate the date ranges are. But with this data, we're able to know that radiocarbon dating samples of wood that have been waterlogged for centuries is a fairly accurate method as long as they are conserved properly before they are sent off to be radiocarbon dated. I mentioned before we've already radiocarbon dated 2 other shipwrecks associated with the fleet, so now this allows us to compare all 3 of these analyses, and we can compare to future sites as well. Thank you.